في ربوع بياني وأتى القاصد بأروع الألحان.
ASRI report on Sabahul Muslim.
بفرائد الأموال والتبيان.
And a warm welcome to our listeners from across the board, various platforms, including Radio Al Ansar right here in Durban. Much warmer day. The sun is out here in Durban, right? Alhamdulillah. But either way, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant khair, barakah, and afiyah. ASRI report, normally round about this time on a Friday morning. And for today's ASRI report, we've joined by Sister Fazlin Fransman Taliep, a political analyst and communications consultant. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Fazlin.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fazlin, let's get into the discussions that are making some headlines, at least within the Muslim community here in South Africa. The DA weighing in on SAHUK, that is the South African Hajj and Umrah Council matters. Now, the DA has now commented on issues relating to the South African Hajj and Umrah Council. And this is, various issues that we have been covering right here on radio with regards to Hajj 2026 and what are the guidelines from the ministry, or the newer guidelines from the ministry. What might be the political motivation behind a political party, whoever that political party may be, DA or ANC, engaging on what appears to be a religious community internal matter? And how could this shape its relationship with Muslim voters ahead of 2026?
So that's actually a really interesting question, because when the DA, or any political party for that matter, comments on issues like these, we know this is an obvious smoke signal that is being sent to the Muslim community. And obviously, as Muslims, we understand the centrality of Hajj to our faith. So any concerns around fairness or transparency obviously strikes at the heart of our community trust. And so for the DA to choose to engage on an internal matter within the Muslim community says two things. One, they understand, obviously, that our issues, are not limited to things like service delivery or municipal matters, that they actually extend to, faith and the way in which we practice that faith in this democratic dispensation. But there's a political calculation that the DA is making. We know that the DA has faced extreme criticism from the Muslim community, and rightly so, regarding its position on Palestine and the genocide that is taking place. And so when they're commenting on issues like Hajj, it is an attempt, or that's what political analysts are saying at the very least, that it's an attempt to build trust, to create a bridge between the DA, a bridge which has technically been burnt, between the DA and the Muslim community, and to build that goodwill ahead of the local government elections. I think one of the key things to remember is that this might be one of the smoke signals that we've seen of late, but it will definitely increase as we approach the local government elections. I think and if you read the sentiment of just the way the Muslim community has responded to the statement by the DA, it's clear the community feels that there's an element of opportunism here. And the reason why I say that is because the Hajj issue is a complicated issue. It's not an issue as simply, as they've stated in their statement. There are several layers to things, obviously, that is happening. And so the very fact that they commented, and just the briefness of that commenting, I think speaks to, one, a lack of understanding of the situation, and two, obviously speaks to an element of opportunism, seeing this as an opportunity to try and build trust with the Muslim community. And so if we put this back to the voters, obviously the question will be, how does this advocacy that the DA is now engaging on behalf of the Muslim community, because they've now decided that they're going to fight on behalf of the Muslim community, how does that weigh in contrast to the DA's position on Palestine? And I think this is a very interesting dichotomy, and something that the Muslim community really needs to grapple with.
Fazlin, moving the discussion to the city of Cape Town. Now, the matter, of course, will certainly affect many other cities in South Africa, but SAPOA, that is the South African Property Owners Association has taken the city of Cape Town to court. We know that papers were filed. This was last month, but it seems to be proceeding right now. There's been public uproar over the city of Cape Town's latest budget, and now SAPOA has taken up the mantle, going to court on behalf of ratepayers and ordinary citizens. Does this signal a growing disconnect between the city's priorities and public sentiment, especially the middle class? And for a long time now, the middle class have continually felt that they are being pushed out of affordability rates services in the city of Cape Town.
That's actually very interesting. So, SAPOA's decision to take the city of Cape Town to court is, I think, a signal of the growing frustration from two of the DA's core bases in the city of Cape Town. The one, the business community or organized business, and two, the urban middle class. And as I said, these are core historical DA bases. And so this is a very interesting, kind of situation playing out. Now, the city's budget, or how at least the politicos are framing the city of Cape Town's budget, is that they're saying this is a pro-poor budget on the one side, it's a pro-service delivery budget, and it's an infrastructure-heavy budget. Now, obviously, those terms can be unpacked, and we can obviously contest them on whether or not they actually are pro-service delivery, pro-poor, and investment-heavy. However, if we use the lens of the middle class and the business sector, the reality is that they will be hit hard with rising rates. They will be hit hard with rate, in terms of the tariffs that are associated with the increase in the budget. And what SAPOA is saying is we've lobbied, we've spoken to the city of Cape Town, we've debated with them, and they have not listened. And so the only recourse we have is to actually go to court. And what this does is that this shows is that the business community, when it is affected, or the property owners, the ratepayers, when they are affected, they're actually willing to challenge what is construed as their political home, specifically in Cape Town. And this shift shows a shift from conversation to confrontation. And I think that is something that is very, very interesting. And obviously this growing disconnect is now extending from the lower poor and working class to the middle class, where the DA is painting this picture that we are trying to create a city of hope where every person, irrespective of their economic background, is able to, realize their potential in the city. The reality is you juxtapose that with the daily pressures of households and of businesses, and the end result is you have the South African Property Association or Owners Association taking the city of Cape Town to court. And what this is it's a warning to the DA that essentially you cannot take your core base, your middle class base, your business base for granted. So it will be very interesting to see how this matter plays out, because if SAPOA wins even marginally in this case, what it does is it opens the door for other ratepayers associations across the country, because there would then be precedent to be able to challenge the budgets that are put forward at a municipal level.
Staying with the city of Cape Town, Fazlin, and interesting political developments coming out of that part of the world, as always, I suppose, the PA, the Patriotic Alliance, and the NCC, that is the National Coloured Congress, talking, and this is amid the by-elections. Now, to get a picture, recent city of Cape Town by-elections have seen the Patriotic Alliance and the National Coloured Congress splitting the so-called coloured vote, allowing the DA to get past the post with only a minimal share because of this division now amongst themselves, right? Now, there are whispers that the two parties are in fact talking. Many in Cape Town may, of course, welcome those talks, but they would like to see a further coalition between both parties, noting that both of them really serve the interests of both genres of people, the poor, the working class, and in the case of Cape Town, of course, that would be a primarily coloured population. What exactly might be on the table in terms of greater coordination? How realistic is a united front between the PA and the NCC?
It's a very interesting development that is taking place. So obviously, if you look at the data is showing that in several by-elections, specifically in the metro, in the city of Cape Town, the votes have divided. And if that votes went to one political party, they would have ousted the DA in those wards. And this has obviously raised, an interesting situation, because people are feeling that the PA and the NCC, which technically has branded itself as, political parties that are trying to push the colored community's interests, that essentially they're dividing the vote and therefore allowing the DA an easy access. I think another layer to that is the fact that we must understand that the PA and the NCC are two parties that are actually taking votes away from the DA. And so then if they're taking votes away from the DA, but that vote gets divided and the DA still sits below 50%, but is able to govern because they have the majority, they're first across the line, that obviously creates, some sort of dynamic, especially ahead of the local government elections. So there's a lot of whispers that is going around about the fact that the PA and the NCC are having talks, specifically if we look at the little bit of a bromance that is developing between the leader of the PA, which is obviously Gayton McKenzie, and the leader of the NCC, which is Fadil Adams. We're seeing a bit of a bromance develop there. The challenge obviously is twofold. One, in the last election, a large portion of the Muslim vote in poor and working class communities went to the NCC. And part of that decision, or part of what factored that decision, was the pro-Palestinian stance. And this is where these conversations can actually be slightly problematic, specifically for the NCC, because people have made the decision that I'm going to vote for parties, yes, their local policies, but also what their position is on Palestine. And the PA obviously is very, very clear in terms of its, anti-Palestinian stance that it has taken very vocally and very vociferously. And so what this does is it creates a catch-22 situation, whereby on the one side, the data shows that if there's some sort of coordination, they're able to oust the DA. On the flip side, the Muslim community in Cape Town, those that do support the NCC, specifically in the working class communities, will feel like, well, I can't vote for the NCC now if they're having this pact with the PA. So it does put the NCC specifically in a very difficult position. However, for many political parties, the objective in the next local government elections is to unseat the DA in the city of Cape Town. And so the question really is, for voters, as well as for the PA and the NCC, is where can they find common ground? And what does that common ground look like? Now, there are two main theories that are circulating with regards to what these discussions are that is taking place between the PA and the NCC. One theory is this non-compete agreement, whereby one party will field a candidate in a particular ward and the other one wouldn't contest. And there is a lot of talks that is possibly what these talks are about and where it will go to, However, there's also a different camp that is talking about a possible broader amalgamation of the two parties, which is obviously the bigger concern. And so, therefore, with this catch-22 situation, we could see, on the one side, if it is done well, if it's managed well, we could see a realignment of the political map in the city of Cape Town. The flip side of that is, how does the NCC reconcile its position on Palestine working with a pro-Zionist party on the other side? And that obviously is a very interesting dichotomy for them, and it will be very interesting to see how they justify that to their voter base.
Fazlin, Fransman, Taliep, shukran jazakallah khairan for joining us for the ASRI report this Friday morning and keeping us updated on matters, national, especially as of this morning, Cape Town related. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.